Should conservatives be allowed to use roads? Should they be allowed to rent property? Should they be allowed to have bank accounts? Is that the question? Is that the direction we're going in how society is dealing with certain issues? What you see on your screen here is a humorous tweet from Mr. Dankula, the Count, as it were. You know that episode of Black Mirror that predicted China's current social score system? Where if your score is too low, you can get denied many things like jobs, services, education, etc., and people won't associate with you? Do you ever feel like... And then he posts this. Chase Bank shuts down Proud Boys leader's personal bank account. This is an Instagram image, it looks like from Laura Loomer. The next image. I'm sorry, sir. Your card was declined due to your political views. Yes, this is exactly where we're going. And Count Dankula responded, enjoying people in the replies who think monopolies are a free market. The other day when I was on the Joe Rogan show, Jamie brought up an issue. Should people who were on MySpace with a ton of followers be owed something because MySpace went out of business? And my response was, MySpace going under is not banning someone who didn't break the rules. Facebook emerged as an alternative to MySpace. So if you have an opportunity to build another platform and you don't, well, you put all your eggs in one basket. That's not the issue. What we're talking about is how, one by one, the dominoes fall. Your politics mean you are excised from the system. And this is the actual story. Now, it's from Big League Politics, which I'm pretty skeptical of, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't think they're publishing fake news. It's just a hyper-partisan site, so it is what it is. But the story reads, Chase Bank shuts down Proud Boys leader's personal bank account, and we can see this image where it says, Dear Henry Tarrio, after careful consideration, we have determined that we can no longer support your banking account, in parentheses S, and will be closing it April 1st, 2019. Please accept our apologies for the inconvenience. We want you to have enough time to prepare for this change, so we are providing some information that can help you plan. Enrique Tarrio, it says Henry. Enrique Tarrio, who is the chairman of the Proud Boys fraternal organization, had his personal Chase bank account shut down abruptly earlier this week. In a letter obtained exclusively by Big League Politics, the bank informs him that he must shut down all of his accounts by April 1st, 2019 without giving a reason. Now, the first thing I thought was, I have no idea why they're shutting his bank account down. Maybe he called someone and said nasty things to them, so they said, you know what, maybe he's on the phone with them, he's yelling, they're arguing, and they want to, sure, they can sever ties. I think there's a fair reason to assume it's political, but it appears there may actually be evidence that it's political. Because they go forward. As they go forward. This comes just days after Chase Bank's payment processor, Chase Payment Tech, deplatformed him on a website he runs that allows groups and charities to sell merchandise and raise money for causes. The website, 1776.shop, is most known for selling the famous Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong shirts, which Stone was spotted in during the late-night arrest at his home. Oh wow, he was wearing one of those shirts. Tarrio has been facing months of backlash for his affiliation with the Proud Boys. First, getting onto the radar in an article published on the Daily Beast, which asserts that people of color are joining white supremacist organizations. Tarrio is both Cuban and black and was profiled in that article. Now, I'm not going to accuse the Proud Boys of appointing him to be their leader because he is an individual of color from Cuba. I think they're aware of the optics. But let me ask an important question. First, I'm not a big fan of the Proud Boys. In fact, and I'm not saying I have anything against them personally, I just don't agree with them and wouldn't want to associate with those types of people. When I met them in I think I was in Berkeley, they asked me if I would refuse to apologize for the Western world or whatever, and I said, no, I will apologize. And they were like, wait, what? And I'm like, I don't agree with you, right? I agree that we can recognize the bad things different cultures and countries and nations have done in the past, and we can try to build bridges with other communities by accepting responsibility for things that suck. I'm not gonna march around and shove an American flag in someone's face while laughing, talking about how we conquered somebody or something. Like, no, I'm not okay with that. I recognize that we should move from where we are now. We shouldn't have to go back to the past and dig up old things to make everyone feel bad. But at the same time, I think there's nuance in these things. Was imperialism and colonialism bad things? In my opinion, they were. We showed up, conquering lands, pushing people out of their homelands. I don't like those ideas, and I don't think we would do them anymore. In fact, we have international treaties preventing those things, and that's fine. So I have no problem saying, at a certain point, I think it was like in the 50s or something, We enacted treaties that said we would no longer expand and conquer other lands and things like that. So we've recognized we should let people, we should leave people to their homelands. So I don't necessarily agree with him, but I don't want to go off on a tangent about the Proud Boys. The issue here is that he hasn't done anything illegal. This man is a legal citizen in good standing. My understanding, I don't, maybe I doubt he's a criminal. My understanding is that he is a regular old person. I don't believe he's wanted for any crimes, or at least that's not apparent. The issue then is, why is he being denied services across the board by a bunch of different social platforms? They mentioned this here, that he was deplatformed to this article. I'll jump to this in a second. But if he hasn't broken any laws, why does he lose his bank account? Right? When I was on the Joe Rogan podcast, I talked about how if public conversations are happening on Twitter, you ban someone permanently, you've exiled them. It's not even like a prison term. It's literally like, get out, you're not allowed to interact with us anymore. Cutting off payment processing, cutting off his bank account. I believe it's like 97% of all transactions are digital at this point. Very few people, some places don't even take cash. What's he supposed to do? If he goes to a place that's like an automatic laundromat, they only take cards. What if he goes to a new cafe and they're like, sorry, we're digital only, we're cards only? What does he do? Maybe he can open a new bank account, but the point is, we're getting to a point where simply because you hold certain views or because the media lies about you, they will take away your financial institution. They say, the Proud Boys, despite simply being a fraternal organization that believes in Western culture, have been smeared as a hate group. Gavin McInnes, the group's founder, is currently suing the SPLC over their hate group label. Since the Daily Beast article, Tario has been facing an onslaught of targeting by both tech companies and financial services. He tells Big League Politics he has been banned from the following services, among others: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Airbnb, First Data, Square, Stripe, PayPal. That's crazy. And it's getting really crazy. And I think we absolutely have to ensure the rights of individuals when we're dealing with massive monopolies. But beyond that, look, maybe he can go to another bank, okay? Maybe he can go to Bank of America and they'll say, sure, whatever, open a bank. They don't know who he is. But the fact that a bank was shutting him down in the first place should be alarming, because companies are monopolizing. There used to be how many banks? And now there's very few. There used to be how many media companies? There's very few. Only a handful of companies own all of the food companies. At what point does he go to try to buy something with a credit card, per se, and they go, ooh, Nestle is refusing to allow you to buy their candy bar because of your politics? And that's actually what the meme that Dankula posted. And it's really funny. What's really funny about it, funny is maybe the wrong word, but we look at this and we laugh like, it's a meme. That's the future. This right here is the terrifying future. Now, I don't think a woman is ever going to look at you and say your card was declined for your political views. No, you're going to walk up and she's going to say, I'm sorry, your card's not working. And you're going to get confused. And you're going to check your email and it's going to say, we recently found out that you believe certain things are true. You can't shop here. You can't shop anymore. That's terrifying. And what's most alarming about it is that it doesn't matter what you believe if you're a libertarian on the libertarian spectrum, because we all kind of just agree to leave each other alone. The libertarian left, pot-smoking hippies who want to live on farms with their buddies, mostly want to leave the anarcho-capitalist dudes alone. They don't want to bother each other. It's the authoritarians that are willing to bend, to manipulate, and use their power to shut down those they oppose. And they use the media to do it. These are activists. There's very little difference between the Daily Beast and, say, actually, I'll put it this way. There are many organizations, like news organizations, that are actually activist organizations. And for some reason, they find their way. Activists realized media was more powerful, and so they started forming, journalism ventures, and then they started pushing that there's no such thing as objective journalism, and now we end up where we are, where a news organization can smear you, and these companies freak out. They freak out. So Facebook and Twitter, Instagram purged all of the Proud Boys because there was an article that was uncorroborated where some sheriffs claimed that, I think this is why they did it. Some sheriffs claimed that the FBI said they were an extremist group, but the FBI later claimed that that wasn't the case. But that doesn't even matter. The main issue is they haven't broken the law. If they haven't broken the law and they're not being arrested for anything, why are individuals being purged? Simply because they've associated with a group? That's really worrisome. What happens when an industrialist, what happens when the Koch brothers decide anyone who's engaged in any kind of environmental activism is a threat to our industry, to our oil industry, or to weapons, whatever, therefore we're going to purge them from everything we own? That can happen too. Don't give people this power. They say, speaking to Big League Politics, Tario questioned why so many major companies feel the need to target him. My political views pretty much mirror, he says his views mirror those of President Trump. But the media and groups like the SPLC smear him and trying to tie him, an Afro-Cuban, to the ideologies that would force him out of his own country if they went into effect. It's completely asinine and based completely outside of reality. He said, "How am I supposed to get food to feed my family? Are taking the directions of the governor of Virginia and trying to abort me 34 years after birth? Yes, very funny. They are essentially denying my existence. You think it's bad that Alex Jones got banned from social media? They're banning people from their own banks. And when you can't use a credit card, when you can't use a check card or debit card, and many businesses emerging in cities only take credit, debit, or digital, well, then you can't buy food anymore. Where is this heading? It's heading us, we're headed into a nightmarish future. So I'm going to stop here. I'm trying to get as much done as possible because I have a plane to catch in like an hour. Stick around and hang out. I may have one more video coming up in just a few minutes.